Alright, hello everybody, my name is Sabrina Stalker and this is my presentation on professional decision making as a college track and field coach. The decision making chart and data was taken from September 14th. I tried to get my face to show for this presentation, but my computer is acting up today, so you'll just have to listen to my voice. So I figured I'd give a little job description and an explanation of what I do daily for you guys to understand what I did in my data tracking that I listed on the next page. So assistant track and field coach at the University of Mount Union, that is my job. So the main aspects of my job are writing workouts for the team, running and lifting workouts. So they work out 5 to 6 days a week. So weekly, I typically write the workouts, so every Monday I'll sit down and do it, and I have ideas in my head, so it's just kind of finalizing it and putting it out for everybody to look at. Keep athletes successful in the classroom and on the track, so I care about my athletes' success in more areas than just on track, so I like to keep up with their grades and check in on them. I have a few athletes that I know I need to be aware of a little more often than others, so just looking out for them and making sure that they're doing the right things. And then recruiting high school juniors and seniors for future incoming classes at Mount Union. This is probably takes up 75% of the time that I put into my job. It's most tedious and it's quite annoying sometimes because it feels like it just never ever ends, but this includes texting, calling, giving tours of campus, setting up overnight visits, and a lot of other things in between. So this is my list of professional decisions made on September 14th. I normally get into work between 9 and 9:45, just depends on how much I have to do that day. So got in at 9 that day, and if you guys want to pause this page to kind of get a better look at it, I'm just going to give a broad overview. But typically when I get into work, I make a to-do list, or I have a to-do list that I made the day before of things I know I need to get done the following day. So I had to redesign a lifting plan for a paraplegic athlete that I have. So he's a double leg amputee. So for the lifting, some things have to be a little bit different for him because his biggest struggle in the weight room is balance because he doesn't have ankles like everybody else. So I had to kind of restructure a program for him. So then I also had to redesign another lifting plan for an athlete who has acute hip impingement syndrome, so just has a lot of hip pain that's triggered by closed-chained exercises, which is a huge percentage of any lift that you would ever do in the weight room. So closed-chain means that the working leg is on the ground. So exercises that would trigger her injury are like squats and deadlifts and RDLs and pretty much any exercise you could think of you do in the weight room. So the working leg has to not have pressure on it when it's being worked out. So things that would make it not hurt are things like quad extensions and hamstring curls. Things that typically would include a machine or a band would be okay for her. I texted back all my recruits that I had unread messages from and that I needed to check in with. I scheduled tours for a few recruits. I continued texting those recruits that I was texting earlier and probably a couple others. And then I left to give an athletic complex tour to a recruit. Typically we tour all of our recruits, but this recruit specifically had scheduled with admissions before getting in contact with us. So admissions toured them around most of campus, and then I just toured them through the athletic complexes. So I toured that recruit, and then I left to get lunch on my own. I took some time away from the office for a good chunk of time, but I still continued working, I guess, so it didn't really feel like time away from the office. I was still texting, making phone calls. And then at 5 o'clock, we have lifting sessions every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I think this was a Wednesday. But so I just go in and make sure nobody's getting hurt. And if there's any injuries or pains going on, I just kind of restructure the training, or I tell them to cut it for the day. So I had to change up a few things for a few people, and then kept track of everybody in the weight room, make sure they were having safe practices. And then at 6 o'clock, they ended at 6:15, but I had them clean up the weight room, make sure it was ready for the next group of athletes to come in, and then that was pretty much me being done for the day. I made a few phone calls later that night, but for the most part, that was everything. So to explain my decision-making progress, some things that I've learned along the way is that this job is super inconsistent and unpredictable. I struggled with kind of accepting this my first year of my career because I don't like inconsistency or unpredictability. So once I kind of got used to it and accepted it, it made things a lot easier. I kind of mentioned before, my job feels like a never-ending to-do list, so you have to prioritize must be done first. That's why I go in at the beginning of the day and make a to-do list in order of the most important to the least important. I guess not least important, but something that might not need to be complete that day. And I make sure I don't waste my time. My coworkers love to sit around and... Sorry, I was briefly interrupted. So my coworkers do like to sit and take their time in the office, which is completely okay. I'm not saying that they don't get their work done. I'm just saying that they don't mind being in the office all day and all night, and I do, because I need sometimes myself in order to recharge and like do my job appropriately. So they're there a lot longer than I am, and they're also full-time and I'm part-time, so sometimes it feels like I'm full-time too. I feel like I put in over full-time hours, so that's besides the point. They're there a lot longer, but they're okay with that. So I just need to not waste my time in the office because I need my alone time away from work to recharge and be able to do my job appropriately. So I just make sure I take advantage of the time that I do spend in the office and the time that I am working. I started eating lunch alone. We normally go to the cafeteria and eat like all together, and we eat with some of our athletes, but I've started taking that time to kind of have a midday recharge so I can make it through the rest of the day without becoming grumpy. And then I listed some strengths of the professional decisions I made. I've been getting a lot of work done lately. In regard to the recruiting this year compared to last year. Last year was my first year. I kind of was able to develop a way that works best for me and is the most effective. So I feel like I'm getting in touch with a lot more athletes and getting a lot more responses. So I've been getting a lot of work done. And then last year I kind of was partnering with our other coaches to write the training programs, but this year I'm writing them all on my own, and they just approve of it when I'm done, just to make sure they're appropriate and they make sense for the week. And then I'm trying to learn how to cut out time out of my day for myself, but I just constantly feel guilty about it. So I'm getting better, but I definitely still need to work on it. I kind of mentioned throughout here, like I need time to recharge, because I do. And when I don't take that time, I just feel like I'm not able to effectively do my job, and I feel overwhelmed. And then I just feel like I'm not able to take care of myself or my athletes the way that I should. So not only am I just taking that time for myself, but it's for everyone. For everyone's best interest. And then some weaknesses of the professional decisions I made was the personal time, kind of like I mentioned. So I'm getting better, but I still have a lot of work to do in this area. So I just have a hard time separating time at work from personal time. So if you saw the big chunk of space in my chart where I was away from the office but I was still working, that's I have a hard time because I want to do as much as I can. But and then when I'm home, I'm still in touch with recruits, and I'm problem solving for any athletes that text me while I'm away. So it's kind of hard to have me time, and extended periods of this lead to a big amount of burnout for me, and honestly a lot of anxiety and frustration. And then it's overwhelming when you feel like you're never really done with the work day until you're laying down to go to sleep at night, and even then I still get messages from athletes and recruits. So it's just kind of me coming to amends with the idea that I'm not gonna have time where nobody's contacting me. I just have to figure out when's best to take up time away from me, and sometimes you do have to make those decisions where it does overlap a little bit and you don't get that time that you wanted. But I'm just trying to do my best for myself, keeping myself afloat, and also doing good for my athletes. But that's all I've got for this presentation. Thank you for listening, and if you have any critiques for me, feel free to reach out. Thank you for listening.